Welcome back, students. This is the last lecture of week 7 and today we'll be summarizing all that we have learned. So let's start. So let's begin with the summary of week 7. So what did we cover this week? So we began our first lecture with demonstrative pronouns, then we moved on to simple present tense, present continuous tense, present perfect tense in lecture 2, 3 and 4. Then we moved on and learned about body parts and action verbs in Maithili. And finally, our sixth session was on interrogatives. Our learning focus was mainly on sentence formation, role of honorificity, and we looked at everyday conversations where the language was used. Then we looked at many everyday conversations and finally question formation. Okay, so let's begin the recap of demonstrative pronouns. We learned that demonstrative pronouns are used to point to people or things based on distance, and it takes honorific, non-honorific distinction as well. Okay, so nominative form we had the proximate pronoun e. Okay, and for remote honorific we had o, and remote non-honorific we had u. Then in oblique case, objective case, for non-human reference we have a for proximate and oi for remote, both honorific and non-honorific. For human reference, the accusative and dative case are the same. We had ekra, which is proximate non-honorific, and hinka, which is proximate honorific. And for remote we had hunka, which is honorific, and okra, which is non-honorific. For genitive, we again had two proximate forms, non-honorific ekar and honorific hinkar. And then for remote, we had honorific hunkar and non-honorific okar. Similarly, for locative, we saw yame or hinkame. Hinkame is not very commonly used, but it's there. And then for remote honorific forms, we had hunkame and non-honorific form as okrame. Finally, we learned how to make plurals. So you can make plurals either by adding sub, or locane. So proximate plural forms become e sub, or e locane, and remote honorific forms become o sub, or o locane. Similarly, remote non-honorific forms are o sub or o sub. Okay, then we moved on to simple present tense. The present indefinite tense in Maithili describes habitual action or general truths that happen regularly. The verb ending changes according to the person and honorific level of the subject, and at times also reflect the honorific level of the object, because Maithili has object agreement as well. Used for habits, general truths, routines, preferences. Structure is something like subject plus verb root, where the suffix ait or it is attached, plus the auxiliary which carries the person and honorific marker. Examples: Ham bhore bajar jaichi. I go to the market in the morning. It's a general statement. Whoever is saying this goes to market every day or maybe regularly in the morning. Then we have E jaga bad sundar aich. This place is very beautiful. So it's a general truth or general statement. Moving on, in the third lecture we saw present continuous tense. Present continuous tense is basically used for describing actions happening in the moment or right now. Its structure is something like subject plus verb plus rahal plus auxiliary. The present continuous tense in Maithili is formed by placing rahal right after the main verb. We saw that a ending roots, verbs ending with a sound, we have to add the vowel e to the root before rahal, but verbs ending with a we keep as it is and simply add rahal. In both cases, the auxiliary verb again agrees with the subject and object in person and honorific level. So examples would be हम मैथिली भाषा सीख रहल छी, I am learning मैथिली. हम छात्रावास में रह रहल छी, I am staying in the hostel. Then we moved on to present perfect tense in the fourth lecture. The present perfect tense describes actions that are completed but still connected to the present. In Maithili, it is built from just two parts, a perfective suffix added to the verb and an auxiliary that agrees with the subject. So structure is something like subject plus verb stem plus perfective suffix and auxiliary. Transitive verbs take the suffix ne and intransitive verbs take the suffix la. The auxiliary agrees with the subject's person and honorific level, not number or gender. It's a key thing in Maithili that auxiliary agrees only in person and honorific level, not number or gender. For full completion of any task, we use the verb conjunctive form plus chukal plus auxiliary. We saw multiple examples there. To look at few examples, we can take ओ घर आयल छे, he has come home. हम पढ़ने छी, I have read. Then in the fifth lecture, we looked at body parts and action verbs. So let's just quickly review few of the important body parts. So bhav is eyebrow, hath as in Hindi is hand, tarjani is index finger, dant is teeth, no is nail, mutti is fist, moch mustache, angul finger, kesh hair, thor lip, and many more. Similarly, we talked about action verbs as well, or body actions in Maithili. So to recap few of these, we had something like rukab means to stop, pichiyab to chase, takab to look, chikhab or chakhab to taste, chatab is to lick, kahab to talk, todab to pluck, and many more. And finally, in the last lecture, sixth lecture, we looked at interrogatives in Maithili. So we saw there are three different forms. There are yes no questions where the pattern is something like ki plus subject plus verb. So the example would be something like कि अहाँ भोजन कैलौं, did you eat? So the answer would be either हाँ or नहीं. We also saw in the main lecture that this can also be done through intonation. Then we have alternative interrogatives where the pattern is something like A, option A plus ki or aki plus option B. So example would be something like अहाँ पटना जायब की दिल्ली, will you go to Patna or Delhi? So the answer would be something like हम दिल्ली जायब or हम पटना जायब. Then we have information interrogatives or information seeking interrogatives where the pattern is something like WH word plus subject plus verb. So example would be अहाँ की करैत छी, what do you do? So answer would be हम नौकरी करैत छी or हम गाना गाइत छी, anything like this. Then we saw negative construction in interrogatives and we said that the negative particle nay has to be added compulsorily before the verb, but usually it is also kept right after the WH word. The general pattern is WH word plus subject plus nay plus verb. So to take an example, we can say aha bhojan kiya nahi kailon, why did you not eat? So the other person might say bhook nahi chha, I was not hungry. Let's look at few interrogative forms. So K is who, ki is what, and it is also used in yes no questions. Kon is which or who, kakkar is whose, kakra is whom, and both of these are non-honorific. Their counterpart in honorific is kinkar, whose, and kinka, whom. Then kate means where, kona means how, kakhan means when, which moment. Okay, so when we are talking about any particular point of time, then we say kakhan. But when we say kahiya, it means when, but it refers to which day. Okay, so if you are talking about day and you have to ask when, you will have to use kahiya. Then we have kehan, what sort or what kind, kathi, which means what or by what means, and finally kiya, which is why.
So with this we come to the end of week 7. Thank you. I'll see you in the next week.